Never really thought about being a pastor growing up. It wasn't until when I was 18 that my pastor said to me after a church service, "I'd like to see you in my office." I kind of felt like I was being called into the principal's office. And I remember sitting down with him. He was a good pastor. He had been at our kitchen table many times, visiting with my folks. And he had said to me after I'd served as a lector one time, "Have you ever thought about being a pastor?" No, not at all. And I remember going home after meeting with him and laughing and saying to my folks, after they had asked, "What did pastor want?" I said, "Well, he thought that that I should think about being a pastor." And they didn't laugh. They didn't think that it was out of the realm of possibility. I did. No one in my family had ever been to university before. No one had ever been to seminary. I remember as a little kid, my grandmother had always wished one of her boys had gone into the ministry, my faithful Methodist grandmother. And none of them ever did. And so that was always in the back of my mind. Maybe, I think even a few times she had said to me, "I think you're going to be a preacher." Well, there was a couple of people then, and my folks didn't think it was out of the realm of possibility. And so out into the world I went, carrying on with the plan that I thought would be best for my life, carrying out with the plan that I wanted to do, and that plan was the Navy. And so I joined the Navy and went off and left central Pennsylvania, only to find for the next 4 years all I wanted to do was get back to central Pennsylvania. And so when I did, my pastor would take me out to lunch, and he would raise the possibility again. Have you thought about being a pastor? Is it something you're thinking about? And throughout my time on active duty, especially overseas, I spent a lot of time with our Navy chaplains, and particularly our battalion chaplain. And it was there that I was at chapel every Sunday. It was my home away from home when I was perhaps most homesick in my entire life. And I recall one pastor taking the time to explain to me the meaning of Holy Communion. I can't remember what tradition or background he was, but it was the most significant Holy Communion I had ever received. And so when I came home, when I left active duty and stayed in the reserves, continued to go to church, it became very important to me, as it had been when I was overseas. There was a period of time when I didn't go to church for a while, but my mom called me up and said, "Why aren't you going to church?" And sure enough, we were there the next Sunday and never stopped going after that. And when I was at church, I would assist my pastor, who had initially raised the issue of being a pastor. I would help him out at communion. I would talk with him about theological things. I would serve as a lector. And I recall one time, after serving as a lector, some guests at our church had said to me, "Are you the assistant pastor?" And I said, "No, I'm an EMT. It works on an ambulance. I'm helping pastor out this Sunday." And I remember that question staying in the back of my mind all week, and smiling about it, feeling good about it. And while I was in college then, I spent a lot of time reading theological things, studying the history of the church. Another thing that I should mention is my first trip to Germany. And my grandmother kindly took me along with her. And I remember visiting Nuremberg, Germany, and going into the large St. Sebald's Church, which is Lutheran, and St. Lorenz Church there, and being overwhelmed. I had never seen anything like that in my entire life. It was amazing. It was overwhelming to me. I loved it. It was during that trip that things were really opened up to me, along with some of the other things that were happening in my life. And so what I would say is the calling to ministry comes from outside of ourselves. I mean, we may feel like we want to be a pastor, but it comes from the church. If you're truly called to ordained ministry, the church itself will recognize that, will lift that up, as it was in my case, through a pastor, through family members, through people in the church encouraging you. And so I'm very thankful to all of the people along the way that God used to confirm the call to ordained ministry for me. And I can say that I remember when I first went back to my pastor then, after the person had raised the question, are you the assistant pastor? And it was the springtime, and I was near graduation to college, and I said, I'm thinking about going to seminary. Tell me what it takes to be a pastor. And I remember my pastor smiling, and I don't remember if he said this or not, but in my mind he did. What took you so long? And so I'm thankful to my pastor who raised it initially, to my family who encouraged me and didn't laugh, didn't think it was inconceivable that I could do this, and to members of the church who, again, identified things and said, hey, this is something you should consider. And so upon ordination, one of the happiest days of my life, there were tears of joy flowing, and I was so thankful. And I had received a call to serve here at Salem very unexpectedly, and have been here over a decade now, and have seen the ups and downs of ministry and the challenges. I truly enjoy this work. And so that's a little bit about my story, and God bless you and keep you. And remember to pray for your pastor. Thanks a lot.